countless hours in the garage with your dad. Now investing in that old car and working on it with your son reminds you of him. And his legacy lives on. Fund your passion with a low-interest home equity line of credit from Bank of Blue Valley.
Good afternoon, Scott. How are you? Look at you with your cup.
Great. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. I feel like we only get like the past few weeks, we've only seen each other at the show.
Well, we decided we were feeling internally the same way because we both love Bank of Blue Valley blue. So we decided to wear blue.
Well, I need I actually look a little bit better in the royal blue. So I need to find some Bank of Blue Valley blue or like the shirts. I mean, we should really get some more swag, I think.
Yeah, no, I actually had an idea with some other folks to do there's the Talladega Nights where you have like the NASCAR outfit where you have all the sponsors. I always thought it would be hilarious to have like Lily and James creative on one sleeve and just like walk around promoting a bunch of local businesses. So we for sure definitely need to, and we'll definitely hit up their office and get some Bank of Blue Valley swag for sure.
We just become walking billboards. I absolutely love this idea. What have you been up to? I haven't talked to you in so long. You all moved.
Yep, all
right?
moved. Okay. Things are going really, really well because I feel like, fingers crossed, I've gotten to the point where I'm not doing 6-7 meetings a day. So I don't post on social media because I feel like when you post, except when we come in on this show, people just reach out. Now you're the expert with Lily and James Creative, and you're doing that for everyone. And that's why you post, because when your clients hire you, they get people that reach out to them.
So what you have is what we call champagne problems. That if you do one post, so many people reach out and want to meet. That's called champagne problems in my business. So yeah, so if you need champagne problems, definitely let me know. Well, I am so excited. So today, here, let's be really transparent with what happened. We use an automated system to book the show. So we send out a link and then people fill it up. But I have to be very cognizant of what I put on my calendar because that's the only way that the link stays empty. And I accidentally had blocked out this time. And so I went to look last week and we didn't have anyone for this time. And I said, oh no, how are we going to fill up the show? We ended up with a stellar lineup today. I am so stoked about this.
I think the magic is not booking things 6-7 months in it or 6-7 weeks in advance because so much changes. And then also in this new world of a lot of remote working, our calendars change. So you end up having executives that are on this panel today that are really hard to get in touch with or to get a coffee with. And you can get them today, which is why we do this show. I had a gentleman that was in transition when COVID started, and now he's at the fastest growing company in Kansas City, C2FO, and he learned about connecting through the show.
I love that. Hey, I want to make sure that everybody that is watching, we're talking about connecting, go over here in the comments, whatever platform you're on, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Let us know you're watching. Let us know where you're watching from so everybody else can see. And then we're going to pull up your name, and this is how you're going to connect. So essentially, first of all, Lori, hello. She says, woohoo, blue. Lori is at Bank of Blue Valley. I've said this before. I worked with Lori on our home equity loan that is helping us get our pool. So if anybody is looking for an amazing, amazing person to help them with their home line of credit or home equity loan, Lori's the person you need to go connect with. Plus, she's just fabulous. We go to lunch and she's just such a great time. So go connect with her and then let us know who you're here to watch and where you're watching from. So you want to bring in our panel?
Let's go. You got the music. You got the intros.
I do.
I am the color commentator.
And we've got Joel watching. We've got Delvon watching. Okay, first of all, go connect with Delvon too. Connect with everyone I pull up. But he is doing some amazing things. He does athletic massages and stuff like that, high impact sports. But I've been watching his Instagram. He has got who's who on his docket of the Chiefs. So go connect with him and watch his stories. Daniel Smith, Porterhouse KC in the house. Dan Smith, he's been on the show. We've got Brandon. Hey, all pumped to be here from downtown KCMO. Hello. And we've got Dan again, and he's on LinkedIn. So we're super excited. Okay, you ready?
I hear Daniel Smith's name everywhere. I don't know. He is blowing up. So that's cool that he's watching.
You actually hear Dan Smith, and I wish he would change his LinkedIn to that. He's one of my favorite.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, just making sure. But either way, you're all about his organization.
Everywhere. So, and he actually helped us book one of our guests today. So I'm really excited. All right. I'm going to play a new song because I'm over the Chicago Bulls sports song. So here we go. All right. Here we go. Our first guest today is India. Our next guest is Beth. We also are joined by Krystal. And last but certainly not least, he's been on the show, but it's been over a year. That's our rule. Mr. Marvin, Carolina. Did you know that song, Scott?
So a buddy of mine did a billboard that was a real estate broker when the song came out, and it said, "Call me maybe." And in the last 10 years, it's their highest rated social media post. But I mean, if you weren't rocking out to that song when it came out, that's like the #1 song for like months.
I love that. So, I use the karaoke version so we didn't get in trouble. So anyways, I'm so excited to have you all here. So let's just dive into it. India, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Hey, everybody. My name is India Wells Carter. So happy to be a part of the show today. I am a Kansas City native, creative, and entrepreneur, and I own Fresh Factory KC. It's a new social selfie attraction, or the kids will say a selfie studio. And we are an event space located in Zona Rosa. I made my transition from the educational nonprofit space just 2 months ago. So I'm a brand spanking new entrepreneur, and I love it. I love navigating and learning all about bringing joy and happiness to people through our selfie studio. If you haven't heard of us yet, you can check us out at freshfactory.com. We are on social media, but essentially you will pay for a 1 hour ticketed experience to take unlimited photos and videos in all of our themed selfie sets. We have a Fresh Prince room. We have a Fresh as a Daisy room, Fresh to Death room. If you get the notion, all of our sets are named after the word fresh. And we love to celebrate all of life's occasions. So if you have a birthday coming up, if you want to host a team morale booster, event, networking, whatever it may be, we have a lot of fun and we invite you out. I'm also a mother to a wonderful 1-year-old son named Cairo, a wife to an amazing husband named Rob, and we love being a part of the Kansas City community. So I hope to be able to connect and learn more from everyone else, but being a part of this entrepreneurship community has been amazing these past couple of months. You will hear more from me soon, but I'll pass it back to our lovely host.
I'm leaving. She's got this. I'm leaving. She's so good.
Yeah. Wait, so you had Cairo and you're starting your own business in a pandemic. So tell us about that emotional journey to get to that point to wanting to be an entrepreneur and growing your business. That's amazing and awesome.
It is amazing, awesome, and very scary. But one of the things that I had to tell myself, if you're going to be scared, just do it anyway, right? You can be scared and be paralyzed and don't do anything, or you can just continue to chase your dreams and make life happen. And I think one of the most inspiring things for myself is knowing how my journey has inspired other people to take risks, to dream big, and just go after it. So yes, in a pandemic, transitioning jobs, having children, and maintaining all of the other titles and roles and expectations, I wouldn't necessarily tell everyone to do it, but I have certainly been blessed to be a part of a community that has supported me in all of these new endeavors.
Scott, have you been to one of these selfie studios before?
Is there one? It's yours in Overland Park Mall?
It's not. It's in Zona Rosa. So we're in the Northland, and it's okay. It's a new concept that's really trending across the country. So you certainly, really any city you go to probably has one now. But we would love to have you out, Scott. Take some selfies. Have a fabulous time.
There are more self-made entrepreneurs and business owners in the Northland, in my opinion, than almost any other geographic region in Kansas City. And the one thing that's interesting is I feel like growing up, there were a group of people, we went to movies, but I feel like the new date would be your experience. Am I wrong? Do you have a lot of young people that do dates at your place?
Yes, a lot of couples, we always say, and we mean this seriously, you bring your first date to Fresh Factory, you're gonna get a second date, hands down. It's a fun date. It's easy. It's simple. And who doesn't love a good selfie? Like, I'm sorry. It's just a fun. I'm not sorry. It's just a fun time. So yes, if you are looking to impress whomever your date may be, bring them out to Fresh Factory and you guys will have a ton of fun.
We haven't gone to Fresh Factory yet. It's on our list. My teenagers are excited about it. But we went to one of these in New York right before the pandemic. And we bought tickets before we even got to New York. And when we got there, I was so surprised that there was, it's New York. So these major influencers that both come, and then they come with their professional photographer, right? For their social media, because they're making so much money off these. These places are awesome. So I'm excited to check it out. You said freshfactorykc.com?
Yes, ma'am. Check us out on Instagram to see all the fun we had. Today we did a remake of the Fresh Prince intro. So if you are a 90s fan, check it out. Me and some of the staff did a little art rendition of Fresh Prince, and it was a ton of fun.
And are you doing TikTok?
Yes, we are on TikTok now. We'll say our TikTok game is getting stronger, but being a millennial, I'm still learning. I'm not a part of the Gen Z, so they got it down packed. We're still learning, but yes, we are on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. So you'll check it out. But yeah, we got to step up our TikTok game for sure.
A great way to profile people you want to hang out with at a happy hour is if you start out with the lyrics opening to the Fresh Prince and someone lifts their head up and looks at you, those are the people you want to hang with.
There you go. I was singing it verbatim this morning, just rocking out.
And stick with us so Scott will give you more awesome, amazing networking tips like that. I like that. Tanya is watching us today. So hi, Tanya. We're happy you're here as well. All right, Beth, who are you? What do you do? How do you get to Kansas City? And do you have a husband with the same name as India's husband?
I was just going to mention that. We love our Robs, don't we? My husband's name is actually Robbie. Like he's from Texas, so his given name is not Robert; it's Robbie. So I make fun of him mercilessly about that. But going back, my name is Beth Collins. I am the ad director at the Kansas City Business Journal. I've been there for just over 2 years. So the majority of my time getting to know people in the Kansas City market has been during this pandemic. So a lot of my contact with people started with listening and watching the show, and I've learned a lot about who different people are, and got to know Scott, and Aaron and I have known each other for a while. So this has been a great resource for networking and getting to know people. So going back to I came to Kansas City August. This month will be actually on Friday will be 9 years ago. We moved in. My husband works for Fox 4 Kansas City and is a sports anchor. So you may recognize his face. If you're a Chiefs fan, he covers a lot of Chiefs. So we moved here because he started working for Fox 4. And at the time I was working for a different company and transferred with my company. And so I was traveling a ton on the road for 7 years. And then 2 years ago, finally got the opportunity to be at home more. We have a son and daughter. My son just graduated from high school. He's 18. He will be 19 on Friday. I don't know how I have a 19-year-old. And my daughter is 10. So she's going into 5th grade. So she and Aaron's daughter are good buddies. So anyway, that's a little bit about me.
Wait, Beth, so your daughter's in theater.
She does some theater, not nearly as much as Aaron's kiddos, but that is how they met.
And then 2 questions. One, I just had lunch with someone that has a child around the same age. Mm-hmm. And usually you're like, I really am going to miss my kiddo when they go up to college. But they're at a point where they're like, I just want this kid out of the house. So where are you on that spectrum? And
I think that comes right before their senior year when they think they're like hot stuff, right? So that was part of probably last summer, about this time last year. But he's like my best friend. Like, I love my son. We have a blast. He's an adventure kid. And so we've done a lot of really fun adventure things. We hike mountains together. So we'll, pick up some of his buddies and some moms and go to Colorado and go hike some 14ers just for fun. So we're good buddies. So I love him.
Second question, your ability to hike, what does your career look like after graduating high school personally? So how did you get to where you are today from high school to where you talked about moving to Kansas City?
You just leave out one of the coolest things about you. You have to talk about it.
Okay, so I grew up, and I know where you're going with this. So I grew up in a military family. There are 6 of us kids. I have a twin sister, a sister who's 2 years older, a brother who's 15 months younger. So there were 4 of us in college at the same time. My parents had a rule: you're going to college, you don't have a choice, and I'm not paying for it. So I joined my dad was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, and I joined the Air National Guard. He was an Army guy. I went the Air Guard route. And so I was a member of the Air National Guard for 6.5 years in Central Illinois, and worked at an air base there, and while I was going to school. So I did junior college, paid for that the whole way through, my own dime, and then transferred to the University of Illinois after that, and paid for that with my National Guard benefits. So I was able to graduate with no loans, no help from my parents. Worked out really nicely. When I was in college, my last semester of college is actually when I met my husband. And so he was working at a local television station in the same town where I was going to school. And I worked a lot of jobs, I think I worked 4 jobs my senior year while I was in the National Guard. But my career path has been, sales related. So I've worked in media sales, cable sales. I worked my most recent position before the Business Journal was, I was a sales director or regional manager for cars.com. If anyone is familiar, fabulous website. So I worked in automotive for many years and had a lot of really great leadership training there, and have just used those skills and developed even more working for the Business Journal. Is that where you want to start?
Yeah, you just leave out your
4 jobs, National Guard, college.
I mean, when you're number 5 out of 6 kids, if you want to eat, you have to fight for it. So, if you want tennis shoes, a prom dress, track shoe, your gear for your sports, you pay for it yourself. When I was 17, here's a fun one that I don't talk about much. When I was 17, I went to Australia for 3 weeks with our high school, and I was the only person on that trip that paid their own way because I'd been working since I was 14. So,
yeah. Speaking of the Business Journal, which I always recommend, creates a level playing field for Kansas City because you can learn about knowledge that previously was only discussed at different country clubs. You now can learn by reading the Business Journal. So they got a great app that you can do, and around the holidays, it gets down to under $100. So fun little fact. But also Christine Ricci, that sold You Break, I Fix, was just recently put in the Business Journal in a story very similar to Beth's.
Yeah. So, and I told her I hope that she still owned it last Saturday when we got my son's phone fixed there. Because she specifically went to, because she's been on the show. Mike Myers says, Rob and Beth were dressed to the nines at Art That Blows. Thanks for supporting the cause.
That was a fun event. That was a lot of fun.
All right. So we were just talking about theater. Beth and I are nowhere near the theater mom our next guest is, who also works a full-time job. Her daughter actually, I would say, lands almost every lead in every show that my son's in because she is so talented. And then on top of that, Krystal volunteers way more. She makes me look like a terrible volunteer when it comes to being a theater mom. But Krystal, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City on top of being a theater mom?
Well, thank you, Erin. Thanks for having me. I'm Krystal Robinson. I appreciate the kudos, but yes, Laura loves Devin and Lily, and they are on the right path as well. They're going to be starring in all those shows here shortly. I just know it. They've had some great leads as well. So and Beth, you and I probably need to connect because our stories, I wasn't in the National Guard. I can't claim that fame, but I do have a lot of connections. So you'll hear here, just hold on. So I am the Director of Marketing and Business Development for Fairway Independent Mortgage, the Corporate Woods branch, not the whole big national firm. I can't claim that. But so for my firm, and I moved to Kansas City 20 years ago. My husband actually made me move. He wanted to be a sports architect. And the big firms are here in Kansas City. So he's like, we're going to Kansas City so I can be a sports architect. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. So we moved out here, and I kind of took a while trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, and took some time, became a mom, and then decided to try my hand at real estate. And I became a real estate agent and absolutely loved it. It was just so much fun to really help people find that dream of home ownership and help them find a home and build that home. But about 8 years after doing that, I had some health issues that made it where I couldn't drive for a while. I had some trouble getting around and things like that. And it's hard to go show houses when you cannot drive, and there wasn't Uber back then, so didn't have that option. And so my current lender partner that I had been working with and giving all my business to help me with my lending of my clients said, why don't you come work with me in the mortgage industry? And I was like, man, math was not my strongest suit. I don't know about this. And he's like, oh, you're right. We definitely don't want you writing mortgages. That's not where we want you to be, but we want you to come and help us out in the marketing and business development side of things. And that's where I've been for the past almost 10 years now. So absolutely love it. I love the connections that I get to help build with the real estate agents and the loan officers, and helping them find growth in their businesses together by supporting each other. So yeah, just absolutely love that. And my husband and I now have been together for 21 years, been here, and we have 2 children. My daughter, who is in theater, Lauren, and I always joke that she's in the theatrical arts. She is a dancer, a singer, and a drama queen. And that's not just on stage, but that's off stage. And she's probably going to kill me for saying that. And then I have a son who is 18, and we leave next week to take him to Boulder, Colorado, where he will start his journey in college. Aww, I know. So we won't talk about that because then I'll cry. So we'll just discuss that.
Well, I won't talk about the car ride because, I was just talking about the car ride to Colorado, but talk about typical Americana, doing the car ride and dropping them off. I was just going to allude to that being a longer car ride. So for you personally, what do you find that motivates you to do all these things with individuals? It sounds like, with what you do in every aspect of life, that individual connection really gets you going. So where does that come from, and what inspires you to want to have that connection? Because what you do is not necessarily B2B. You're always people individually. So just curious where you think that comes from.
I find a lot of fulfillment and happiness by seeing others succeed and knowing that I help to bring out the best in them and help them really achieve those goals. I'm not one to stand up here and look at me, even though I came from a theater background, and a lot of times you think that's what people would be. I really find joy and passion in just helping others find that work-life balance, help connect and grow their business. And so that's why this role is just really perfect for me, because that's all I do all day is really working with those real estate agents and those loan officers to try to build their business. And I always love to come from a place of giving. And I think that's really, we've created that culture in my branch because of that. So we always come from a place of giving, and you can have tons of success if you come from a place of giving. It comes back to you. And so that's really what I try to focus on. Okay,
got a question here. Could be not always positive, could be negative, but I'm a big believer. I tell this to Aaron all the time, that 95% of people in this world are here to progress their individual desires of what they need. Very few people come about it as a way of, I want to give and I want to help others. And I always say, you got to protect the givers and you got to help the givers, because without them, they don't create goodwill in the economy. Now, to be happy, you have to limit the amount of time you spend with the takers. So you've created a culture of giving. How do you prevent your team or yourself from getting taken advantage of if you're always helping to give to others? Obviously, you clearly volunteer a lot for your children, so you're giving a ton just in that in itself. So how do you avoid the takers, or do you have a secret for the audience to help them?
I don't know that
He means me specifically is what he's trying to get to.
I don't think there's any big secret, but I really do think that sometimes it's the example, right? If we're setting that example of coming from a place of giving, anybody who, like, you communicate that with them, say, I'm giving this to you, and be honest, like, what I want in return is small and it's little, but here's what I need in return from you. And being able to communicate that and let people know that you're just not here to give, but there is something I'm looking for in return. It might be small, and it's something that I know you can give, and we can work together, and it becomes a partnership and not just a give and take. It's a give. And so I think communicating that is huge. And then you do have to set those boundaries. And there are some times when you have to say, you know what, this relationship isn't working anymore. And while I respect you from the business perspective, I think we just need to go our separate ways. So you're certainly right. I mean, it can become very draining sometimes when you're always coming from that giving and those takers just kind of suck it out of you. But communication's big, and just making sure you set that boundary ahead of time.
I think the key thing you pointed out is you set the expectation. Mm-hmm. And so I've gotten to the point where I just tell everyone 95% of the time, I meet with people one time, and I'm going to help you. This is what I do in return. And to Aaron's point, when I started out the show, it takes 2 to 3 years, but eventually people, once you communicate that, they did this and they want this to get together again, but they're not willing to do it. And so Erin is guilty like yourself. She helps everyone. 100%. And she's always so giving. And then people come to her and want more. And Erin's like, whoa, hey, I just helped you do that. And I'm like, hey, you gotta communicate. So I think your communication is so critical. Last question, I know we're gonna move on. Where did you learn that from, or was it just something you picked up naturally? Because for me, I feel like it took me 8 or 9 years to learn that.
I think it definitely took me a while as well. It wasn't something that just came naturally, because, we're raised to give and be compassionate and give of ourselves. But I think, honestly, Mark Rome and Mike Walker, my 2 managers at Fairway, really have helped me see the value in myself. And I think once you see that value in what you are giving, then it's easier for you to communicate that, I'm not just giving this for free because it's valuable. And when I really was able to see that value in myself and what I had to provide, that's when it made it easier to have that open line of communication and be able to say, hey, I'm going to give this, but here's the expectation, and let's make this work together.
I love that. Since this is a business show, I'm going to piggyback off that a little bit, because I got this advice last week, which is a little bit similar, a little bit different, but I thought that this was amazing. So Thayla Cherry, who's been on the show before, if you watch, every chamber she's involved with really supports Thayla Cherry. And so we were having a conversation where I wasn't going to pay a certain chamber's dues anymore. And I was like, they don't do anything for me. All I do is pay it every year, and then I don't hear from them again until next year when they want the payment again. So I think I'm done being in chambers, at least a certain chamber. And not the Hispanic chamber, because the Hispanic chamber they are the best. So go join them. I love them because they come to you. But most chambers don't. We all know that. So essentially what Thayla Cherry is she said, have you ever asked them for what you wanted? And I said, what do you mean? I don't know how to go to the chamber. She's like, make a list and say, for my $600, $1,200, this is what I want in return. I need you guys to help me with this. She said, that's the only reason they help me is because when I pay my dues, I present my list every year. And I said, what? And so if you are a chamber member and you feel like you're not getting your dollars worth, try Thayla Cherry's. Give them the list of what you want in return for your money and see how it works out. And let me know how it works out, because I haven't made my list yet. I'm still a little scared. But
Aaron, the other thing you can do is, I always tell when people come to me that I want to help double my revenue, I say, well, go to all your vendors, tax, accounting, banking, insurance, marketing, staffing, payroll, and then say, I'm going to go out to market, but I do want to work with people that want to work with me. And you get 8, 9 people sending you business, or you find someone new. But they're earning your business, and you want other people to earn your business as well.
I like that. So yes, I love the idea of just asking. Yep. Toby says, sorry he's late to the party, but you ladies are rock stars. And Marvin is having such technical issues, he's going to join us on another week. I'm going to pop in right here and tell you, mark your calendar for September 15th. The Better Business Bureau has moved down to the plaza, and they're having a huge grand opening party. And They are going to have DJs and food trucks and all sorts of things going on, and they want you guys to come and see them. So September 15th, there's details both on LinkedIn's BBB page and on Facebook's, and they're going to have more stuff coming out. So that's what I was going to talk about today. We'll have them on another day. Tara says, isn't that the case for everything? If you don't tell people what you want, then how will they ever be able to deliver? We need to have you on the show too, Tara, very soon. So, okay, essentially, let's get to our next question. This is we're already halfway through the show, and I feel like we just started. So, India, we talked a little bit about some awesome stuff you've done this past year, but what has been your biggest win between 2020 and 2021 during all this craziness? What has been your biggest win?
Besides raising a human.
That's a major win. And I would say besides starting a business, honestly, my people that are employed, I know a lot of industries have had significant challenges getting people to work, quality people to work, and that hasn't been our issue. We actually have people like knocking down the door and saying, I want to work at Fresh Factory. So it just feels amazing to have great workers who are reliable, dependable, they care, they are customer service oriented, and they really reflect our brand. And it's been a joy just building the team. So I'm grateful for our Fresh Factory team members, and that is a win for me, having amazing people on the team.
Okay, how are you already creating such a good culture when you're so new? Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think that's a challenge for a lot of new business owners.
Yeah, I think it's about setting expectations. So a little bit of what was shared before. This is who we are. This is our values. This is what we believe in. And this is how we're going to treat everybody that's going to come through the door. So having very real conversations about expectations, and then trust as well. Me trusting that, yep, this is day 1, this is day 10, but I believe in you. I support who you are, your own career goals, and I know you will be a great reflection and demonstration of what we're representing here at Fresh Factory. So setting expectations, trusting people who you've hired, and then of course, if there's opportunities or need to course correct, having that open line of communication, knowing how to give effective feedback that still empowers but gets to the root. I think it just kind of stems from good leadership and good team culture.
Okay, I'm obsessing over this for a second. So you've been open for 2 months and you've already got all this figured out, and you are not, like, you're working on your business, which usually takes people years to do versus working in their business, right? So kind of talk about how you, like, I think if I would have known 5 years ago to work on the business from the beginning, my business would be untouchable at this point, right? How did you know that? Like, what are the steps you took that got you here from the beginning, like from the day you started your business? How long were you working on it beforehand? What did you read? Any of that kind of stuff to help people that are thinking about starting business?
Yeah, so I can't say that I've done it alone. So quick insight, I had this idea of a selfie studio January of 2021. So not too far long ago. And a lot of people are like, what? And I'm like, I know, crazy, right? But what I did, I said, I need to immerse myself with as much information to know how to start a business and do it right and be able to be successful. So 3 things that I would say for any business owner, but particularly those of color. I participated in Entrepreneurship Business Basics, or EBB. I'm also in Porterhouse, KC, where I had the opportunity to meet Aaron. I'm reading All in Startup, Atomic Habits, and other books to help prepare me to be a successful business that's starting up. And then also just other resources, UMKC Small Business Development Center. So it's like, as much as I feel like I've mastered a lot of things, I'm very much so still a student. And I'm like, any source of information that I can read, learn, and more importantly, apply, that's what I've been doing the past 6 months.
Wow.
I love that.
Who started you on the first step of, I mean, you really, a lot of people, to Aaron's point, like whether it's like the Hellsberg Entrepreneurship Mentor Program or the Kansas City Chamber and the different programs they have, what was the first entry point? I would say the Business Journal is a great resource, not to plug Beth, but where was that first piece of advice that got your foot in the door? Because you just rattled off a bunch of really awesome opportunities that entrepreneurs should do. but to find where those are, that's really hard.
Yeah, so I would say I'm a little bit of a privilege, right? So my parents are also entrepreneurs. So my father, captain of KCFD, but also owns his own heating and cooling business for as long as I can remember. My mother has been working for the federal government, but also has a plethora of other businesses, real estate and whatnot. So seeing that just growing up. And then I would say probably my first exposure years ago when I was working at the Kauffman Foundation. I was on the education side, but you had 1 million cups and just being in the hallways with those of like-minded. So even though at that time, that connection to the entrepreneurship world was just by happenstance, it's like I knew of those resources. So when I chose to become an entrepreneur now, it's like I could go back to those resources and dig in.
I love that. So Casey, SourceLink, Porterhouse, those are 2 to check out if you're thinking about starting a business. I didn't know about any of this when I started my business, right? And I will tell you, when people know about that going in, you turn into India.
Like it's huge. I mean, you were at the Kauffman Center. I mean, you watched the whole Kansas City business community evolve around on top of just being involved in it from your parents as well. So
right.
You are it's like you're like the perfect trajectory to just take off.
I hope so. And my advice to anyone is just be open to learning from anyone, anywhere. You just don't pass over opportunity. Just always be willing and available. So learn, read, connect, network.
We need to talk about getting you your own show soon. Okay, Beth, right? She's good. Beth, how about you? This past, like you said earlier, like you jumped in the business journal and then they were like, okay, pandemic, right? You weren't there before. So what has been the biggest win for you this past couple of years?
Well, living in Kansas City and not traveling and being at the business journal when everything collapsed was a huge win, right? Nothing I could have planned. The team there, being at the epicenter really of Kansas City business has been such an amazing growth experience for me. Like India, I'm a reader. Like I devour books, whether they're audio or sit down and read. And so going through the business journal, I learned so much about the positive aspects of what was happening in the community and who was really leading. So I would say that on a professional level, really diving into the resources at my fingertips was huge. But if you guys will bear with me, I do have a little bit of a list of some personal things because I had spent literally all of my professional career focused on the next step and the next step. And I was traveling and my kids were little and my husband works nights and weekends. And I was traveling on his days off. So we were passing each other for years. And so the pandemic was the first time that I wasn't traveling and he wasn't traveling, and we were actually able to set some different habits right within our family. And so the first few months of the pandemic were rough. And I think I got to a point in January or July of last year where I needed to change everything. And this is, Erin, this is about the same time I started that silly 75 hard program that you were doing last year, which is funny, but it's a big reset. So it's a workout, fitness, no alcohol, all of these different things for 75 days. It took me 108 days to complete the first round because I had to start over a few times because of cake. Cake is always my weakness. So anyway, so that led into a lot of other things. So I met Alex McAnderson and did some Reiki, which was like some mind clearing craziness. That was amazing. She's phenomenal. If you don't know Alex, she's just phenomenal. She's phenomenal. And so going through that process, I kind of learned how to dream a little bit. And I have had the most fun in my life in this last year. I took my kids on a spring break trip and my husband had to work March Madness. I'm like, forget it. I'm going to do it myself. I'm a big girl. So we hiked the Grand Canyon. We went to literally 8 national parks, a national monument, and 2 state parks in a 7-8 day period. And my son and I hiked 2 14ers, which is 14,000 elevation mountain. So the highest mountains you can climb in Colorado. We hiked 2 of those, and I did one with my sister. So I've done 3 of those in the last year. those adventures inspired a conversation with our youth group leader at our church, and I am now planning our youth group mission trips for our high schoolers. And I was accepted into the Centurions program through the Kansas City Chamber, which will begin next month. So for me, like my word of the year was adventure, and it has been one of those things where I'm in. My very first book of the year was what I think is Start With Yes, and the Shonda Rhimes book, phenomenal, best beginning of the year book to start with. But it's really my win this year has been saying yes to opportunities instead of automatically putting that, I don't know if that will work, right? So that mindset of more positive. And I would also like to throw in that my team has, by the end of this week, they will have accomplished our 2022 quota for the year. So before we even hit August.
What is it, August? July?
Yeah, so they've hit the budget. The quota is a little bit different number, but we still have some ways to go for Q4, but there's still work to do, and we're working on some really fun projects, but we're in a position where we can think a little bit differently and be creative and plan ahead and look at what next year looks like. So on Thursday, I have a meeting. We're going to do a little dream session and try to figure out where their goals, what they want to get out of their next year. So I'm in a very happy place. Probably the happiest I've been ever,
So, not to take away from the where you're at, I'm going to the nerdy business side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You are someone as an executive that is so involved, and there's so many things. Am I misunderstanding the book saying yes? Because I felt like if you say yes, Beth, everything you're saying yes to, you're saying no to like 3 different things.
Right.
Yeah. So for the people that are watching the show that are also very involved and very busy and are probably multitasking while watching this show.
Right.
How am I misunderstanding the book, and how are you able to say, you're saying yes to more things, or just, are you talking about in life, like talking about big life events and things?
I'm saying yes to the things that have the potential to bring more joy. Right. So rather than focusing only on saying yes to the things that will advance my career, I'm now focusing on where can I find happiness? Where can I find joy? And I've become one of those crazy people who hiking a mountain for 7 hours is one of my favorite things to do. Where at each step you lose oxygen, right? I think it's the coolest thing ever. So saying yes to opportunities that may not present themselves again. I'm not getting younger, so doing these things that are a little bit adventurous and things that scare me. I will tell you, putting the application together for the Centurions program, that was kind of a scary thing for me. So I spent 6 hours Memorial Weekend writing the essays. So
you probably spent a lot of time calling people to make sure that your essays were on point. Right.
So yeah, the saying yes is the joy. Like, what do I want to get? Like, what is my end game? When I end my career, what do I want to look back and have highlights? I want to serve people. I want to have adventures and memories with people that I love. And I want to be able to make people successful, not make them, but help people become successful along the way. And I feel like this has been the first year where I've really been able to work those 3 things together.
I love that. I will tell you 2 things. If you are connected with Beth on her personal Facebook, you are never allowed, like, you feel so guilty being like, no, I'm too old to do that, or no, I'm out of shape to do that. You're like, no, if Beth can do it, I got to at least go on a walk around my park, right? Because she's like climbing mountains. And then the other thing is actually, I have this weird little thing where I am friends with Beth's boss, and then my best friend is Beth is her boss, right? Mm-hmm. And so essentially the thing is my best friend, who is Beth is her boss, she talks nonstop about what an amazing leader Beth is. And it like encourages me so much because I get to know them both at a personal level that I just hope that, one day all my employees talk like that when I'm not around, right? It's one thing to talk about that like when you're around, but when we're out, like we were out Saturday and she's like, was talking about how awesome Beth was when we were like at a bar. I'm like, okay, I get it. She's really, really good. So,
I was really blessed to walk into an absolutely amazing team when I started, and we have added to that team. And, I had a position open for 15 months. And so I was handling as a sales rep and as the ad director for almost all of the pandemic for the most part. And we just recently found the most perfect fit for our team. And things are only looking up. So
awesome.
All good stuff.
Well, Joel says 14Kers are no joke. Much respect. He won't go above 10K. All right, Krystal.
Yeah, that's a guy that's super in shape.
Yeah, my sisters won't do it again. Two of them I convinced a few weeks ago to do one with me, and transparently, they didn't know what they were getting themselves into, and I only volunteered the year. I didn't give them any idea of how treacherous a 14-year can be. But they did it. They hated me the whole time, but they were happy that they did it, and they will never do another one again.
Luckily, Beth and I aren't that close. Okay, Krystal. Toby says Fairway Mortgage is great. I love working with
Toby.
So tell Maddie got a shout out. Krystal, what has been your biggest win this past couple of years?
Well, gosh, I don't know if I want to follow up after those two. I mean, I didn't climb a mountain or give up wine during the pandemic at all. So I can't, not me. But, I think I had a lot of little wins that culminated into a big win for my team and my branch. During the pandemic, we saw exceptional growth. And we saw that growth in three different ways. One, we were able to help over 1,100 families either purchase or refinance a home. And it was different this time around. I mean, we always are helping. That's what we do, right? But this time around, there were instances where we were helping people keep their home because of changes that had happened to the pandemic. And so we were able to refinance them and be able to keep a house, a roof over their family's head. And so that was so rewarding. It's such a big win to me to be able to say that we were helping people get through these challenging times by, again, giving and figuring out ways to help them. And a lot of times, it was crazy because the rates were low and refinances were coming in like crazy. And there's a lot of times where my office and my loan officers chose to skip the low hanging fruit, which would be what I'd call like an easy refinance, where they could just go, oh, yeah, this person's going to be a quick, easy refinance. We could close it in 30 days because they were focusing on helping those people who really needed to do it to save their property and help their family. And so to me, huge win there, right? The second kind of growth that my branch saw is during a time when people were having to lay people off, we were hiring. And a lot of times we were hiring people who needed to start a second career because their job trajectory had changed because of COVID. And so now we've got people who used to be in totally different careers now starting and building a business here in the mortgage industry and doing it very well and successfully. And then the third one, our team, and I saw my loan officers not only grow personally, kind of like you, Beth, where they found that work-life balance and really were able to focus on where that lays, but also then building those relationships with their business partners in a stronger way, because a lot of times when our weekly calls had usually been, strategizing, marketing things, they turned into more of a therapeutic, and we were having therapy together, right? Because we're about, oh my gosh, how are we going to get through this? And problem solving, how are we going to navigate these challenges? And so that ended up strengthening our relationships with our business partners because we were there for each other. And so really, I think being able to do that and all of us working together and find that growth in a time when a lot of people were finding challenges and being able to, again, come from that place of giving and helping others, finding growth within our branch is probably my biggest win, and how I was able to play a role in that.
Aaron, do you think out of I don't know how many, we've done 60 shows and 300 guests, that is the most polished round of three answers I've ever seen of boom, boom, boom.
It was good. And the one thing Krystal left off of hers is that she also said she is a extremely desired board member, where she sat on our theater board that they essentially left the franchise they were with and redid the entire business, and she sat on the board. So that's essentially like starting a new business when you redo everything and then have to tell 1,100 parents and explain to them why, all while doing this. And then she kept stepping up, because in theater you went from not having big shows to small ones, and she played a big part of figuring out how to do those small shows so people like my daughter and Beth's daughter could still go see their friends during all of this. So yes, very polished, but I think that all three of them probably left out a lot that they've been doing.
I got to ask this isn't a business question, but I feel like in sports, okay, I grew up with brothers and are there politics in theater where like you need to get to, because again, we all work with people and we get hired or people buy from us based upon relationship. And I would assume with kids sports teams, or in any endeavor, if you have a relationship, it helps with, like, oh, they've done it before and they need to be in a leadership role in a play or musical. Do relationships play a big part on getting lead roles, or is it more of like, it's kind of like a team and everyone, a lot of people do the same shows together. Like, I'm just trying to understand, like, is there fierce competition in politics and theater?
There's definitely a little bit of both, I would say. There's definitely competition for sure. Our program, I think, is a little bit different in the fact that we really do come from a team aspect and we really focus on that and building each other up. And, you've heard this phrase, there's no small role, only small actors. And I think our directors do an excellent job of no matter what role the child gets, they always have their moment on stage and they always get that shining moment to be able to be up there and be proud of that. And then we have other programs in association with our theater organization, and one of them I am very proud of this. I run what's called The Crew, and it's our high school leadership program. And so those kids then are able to have those leadership aspects, and not necessarily, it doesn't have to be just on stage that you're the leader, right? You can be a leader and be that kid who's always helping the kids that are off in the corner that maybe don't feel quite a part, and be able to bring them in and help them feel part of that culture and that community. And that's the group that they can find success that way too. So it doesn't matter if you're always the leading role, or maybe you're the president or the vice president or the secretary of that group, or you're in charge of something in that leadership group. Everybody contributes, everybody finds their place and finds their success and gets their moment in the sun, whether it's on or off stage.
She's so good at answers. I think there's politics in everything, right? There's a little bit of politics in everything, because even on Broadway, you see the same actors get the parts over and over, but that's because they know they're going to draw big crowds, right? There's certain, I think there's politics in everything, but I think that's why you have to find the right group where you feel it is talent and you do fit in and stuff like that. One of the things that Krystal's kind of talking about, both our kids, I think we're kind of finding their time. Our older kids were trying to find their place to fit in, and they really fit in this group. And then, Lily just kind of followed suit, and then her friends were doing it, like Beth's daughter. So I think there's politics in everything. I think you just got to figure out which group you want to sometimes look the other way and sometimes go in and play the game.
Sure.
So, but
yeah, that's speaking of Broadway, not to plug something I always call myself, my wife thinks it's hilarious, I'm an accidental feminist. So during my free time, I watch This Changes Everything, which is a beautiful documentary. Has anyone seen it? Oh my gosh. Yeah. It talks about the bias in Hollywood. And so it's super interesting about relationships and politics and how it influences things. But yeah, This Changes Everything. They studied basically male, female, Caucasian minority roles since 2012, and the results are really shocking. So won't give it away, but it's a really interesting.
What's the name again?
This Changes Everything.
Okay, and then I don't know if you could tell, our people on the bottom are all taking notes during the show. So
yeah, as a dude that grew up playing sports and drinking beer at Arrowhead. If you don't know, if you're not exposed to something or you don't take time to learn or understand it, you just assume everything's similar. Right. And especially I don't know if Broadway's similar, but in Hollywood, it's pretty unique because I think 85% of what the world sees in entertainment comes out of what some could perceive as a good old boys club, and why that's not good for our society.
Mm-hmm. All right, Scott, it's your favorite time of the show. I do want audience participation because Scott is in cloud 9 for the rest of the week. If you guys will participate and put your answers over here. But, before you get on the show, I always prep everybody that this is your favorite part of the show. So we have 5 minutes left, ladies. So quick answers. But Scott, go ahead and ask your icebreaker question of the week.
I'm going to be risky only to entertain Erin because she doesn't like it when I send the same thing. So we'll start with you, India. We're going to do 2 questions. 1, what is your order at Chipotle? And number 2, speaking of adventures, it doesn't need to be, this isn't one of those things where we hold people to, hey, you got to go do your dream. But I think Beth inspired all of us of saying yes to an adventure. So what is an adventure you want to say yes to that, maybe you just haven't made time for? So your Chipotle order and an adventure that you want to say yes to.
Okay, here we go. I had Chipotle for lunch. Get me a burrito bowl with black beans, white rice, barbacoa, lettuce, tomato, cheese, and let's sprinkle in a little bit of the mild sauce, maybe extra sour cream. I like mine's kind of moist or drenched in sour cream. And then I would say one adventure, which might be scary to some, is a hot air balloon ride, whether that's in Kansas City or in any other country in this world. I would love to get on a hot air balloon.
All right, Beth, you're up.
Okay, so I'm not a big carb person. I'm going to save those for the corn chips. So what I like is the chicken in the bowl, chicken, lots of guacamole, and then maybe a little bit of black beans, but not a lot. Tomatoes, salsa, all of that, and then I scoop it up with the chips.
Ooh.
So, lettuce. You got to have lettuce too. Okay, and then my dream is I have it written down, and I am mortgage, right? I'm about a year away from paying off my mortgage, and then I can start saving for this trip.
That's amazing.
So, so that will be. I have to blame my husband for that one. He's the focus guy. We call him the CFO of the house. So I want to do the Grand Canyon. I want to spend a week going on a dory boat down the river, camping outside under the stars. It's like $3,500 a person, and I want to take my whole family. And you can take up to 16 people. I want to book out the whole trip with people that I love, and just spend a week with no cell phone reception, sleeping under the stars of the Grand Canyon, going down the Colorado River.
That's amazing. Very cool.
All right,
I've investigated it, so.
Okay, my turn. Okay. Chipotle bowl, pretty basic, chicken bowl with rice, all the fixins and stuff. But the key, the secret ingredients is ask for a side of their salad dressing. If you have not done this before, you must do it. It is the best stuff. And you just drizzle it, a little vinaigrette. Oh, you like it. If you like it moist like that, you love it. So that's my secret for Chipotle. And then as far as an adventure, and this is actually something that hopefully maybe if I come back in a year, I can say it'll be my biggest win. But I'm hoping to be able to audition for theater in the park next year. I want to get back into theater. I want to get back on the stage. And so I might just do that. So we'll see. I'll let you know in a year.
They'd be very smart to give you the leading role because financially you would bring the house of fans of people that you know. So from a business standpoint, they should do it.
I'll put that on my application. There we go.
I'll make you lots of money.
I heard Krystal sing last week, and she has a very high chance of making that dream come true. I want to say something about Chipotle real quick. Did you know that if you work part-time at Chipotle, they offer you insurance? And I know this because when Janae was in college for her second career, which is in the health field, she worked part-time at Chipotle because you have to have insurance if you're going to anything in medical. You have to have insurance while you're in school because you're touching needles and all of that stuff. That's part of the requirement. So if you're older and not on your parents' insurance anymore, Chipotle is a great place to look at while you're going to school. So that's awesome. My Chipotle order, before you ask me, Scott, because I know you're going to ask, is I just like steak, cheese, lettuce in a burrito, and then I like ketchup on it because I'm disgusting and weird.
I love ketchup.
Curveball.
And then my dream adventure, my friends who got married a couple weeks ago are on this adventure right now, and I've been like stalking their Instagram stories. They are at a resort that has apes, gorillas in Rwanda, and they get to like just live around the apes for like a week in Rwanda, and it is the most amazing thing I've ever seen on Instagram stories. Like I feel like I'm there, so I want to make that happen one day. How about you, Scott? You got a minute to answer.
One more question. What about you and Janae? What trip do you guys want to do next, just in general? Is it that one?
Yeah, we would. I mean, we just like to travel. So we've gone on 4 trips this year. So we just like to travel and do really crazy things. Yeah. How about you? Chipotle order fast and adventure.
Half chicken, half steak, and anything I can finagle in there. I more like to read people. I like to be like, hey, is this, what kind of person are you? How can I get some extra toppings? Or I'll read that they're like, no, they're by the book, so I don't actually go. But as a dyslexic guy, I feel like my secret power is reading people. Secondly, I haven't So my father-in-law has 2 daughters, and I've been, we've been having children, getting engaged, getting married, getting a house. So I've really never like bonded with him. And I feel bad because he's like, oh, you're a dude. Like, hey, we're going to go to Chiefs games. We're going to play golf. And, I'm going to finally get to do this son thing. And we've just been so busy. So I know he wants to, he's in St. Louis, and you can go from, I think, St. Louis to Kansas City or Kansas City to St. Louis. I know someone will correct me on the comments page, but you can canoe that whole thing. And so I want to do that with him before he's too far in his late 60s, so he can have that moment. So hopefully my wife doesn't hear me. She'll make me do it next year. But I want to do that with him because I just haven't really had that chance to bond with him, and he doesn't have a son.
Well, Beth said that's nice. The rest of us went. So if he doesn't want to, if you don't want to do it with him, Beth will do it with him. Well, thank you so much.
Krystal will join you.
I think Tara said it best. She said, "You ladies have done so much. What amazing accomplishments." She's ready to sign up for your trip. Lori says, "Congratulations on that payoff." Joel wants chicken tacos, and of course, I'm surprised it's the only one that said what about that.
There you go.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate everyone on this panel. Thank you so much for watching us. And thank you, of course, to Bank of Blue Valley for sponsoring. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Thank you.